Hi everyone, welcome back to English Euphoria, and today we are going to read lesson number 7, Glimpses of India, from class 10th English book First Flight. Students, why does this lesson have this name? It is because here we are going to see glimpses of 3 different places of our country. And glimpses means the partial view or glance of something, a quick view. So here in this lesson we are going to have a quick look of 3 different places: Goa, Assam and Coorg. These are 3 different places that are covered through 3 different stories in this lesson. So today, first of all, we'll discuss story number 1, A Baker from Goa, that is written by Lucio Rodriguez. Okay, so this is story number 1, A Baker from Goa. Students, to whom are you going to discuss here in this story? A baker. Who is a baker? A person who makes breads and cakes, especially as a trade, as a business. So here the writer has presented the pen portrait. Pen portrait means written description of the traditional Goan village baker so beautifully that it creates clear visual image of that time in front of us. And this baker has a very important place in his society. So these things are presented in this story. So with this background, now let's begin with the story. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, the Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, but the makers are still there. Students, before I begin with the explanation, let me tell you one more thing that is related to the history of Goa. The Portuguese invaded Goa in 1510 and their rule lasted for about 450 years. And this period, heavily influenced Goan culture, its cuisine and its architecture. If you will visit Goa sometime, you will find these things prominently existing in Goan culture, in Goan society. So with this information about Goan culture, now let's begin with the story. Here, the narrator, the writer, he is the narrator of this story. So he tells this at the very beginning that our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, the Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. So the writer tells us that our elders, they are often missing, they are remembering very fondly about their past events, about the days of Portuguese and those famous loaves of bread that were very much used during those times when the Portuguese ruled Goa. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, but the makers are still there. Further, the writer tells us that though those eaters here refers to the people from Portugal. So the writer tells that those eaters are now no more in Goan society. They have left Goa, but those makers means those bakers who are baking the cakes and breads, they are still existing in the Goan society. They still live there and they still prepare breads, loaves of breads for the people. We still have amongst us the mixers, the molders, and those who bake the loaves. So further here the writer tells that though the people from Portugal, they have left our country, they have left Goa, but still in this Goan society, we can easily find those equipments, those tools such as the mixers, molders that were used to prepare the bread by the people of Portugal. And still we can find those people who bake the loaves in the Goan culture, in the Goan society. Those age-old, time-tested furnaces still exist. The fire in the furnaces has not yet been extinguished. The third and jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo, heralding his arrival in the morning, can still be heard in some places. Children, here furnaces are the enclosed structures in which material can be heated to very high temperatures. And third and jingle means heavy but melodious sound that was produced by the traditional baker's bamboo that he would be having in his hand. And heralding, it means announcing, or you can say declaring. So further here the writer tells us that those old, age-old, time-tested furnaces which were used during those times when Portuguese ruled over our place, Goa, those furnaces are still existing there, and the fire in those furnaces has yet not been extinguished. Extinguished means put out, or you can say uh, destroyed. So that fire is still burning there means those furnaces are still in work. They are working there, they are used there. And the third and jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo heralding his announce an arrival in the morning can still be heard in some places. So further the writer here tells that still the bakers are baking the cakes and pastries and breads there, and they are selling them in the same traditional manner, having the bamboos in their hand, calling out loudly, telling their arrival in different places of Goa. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. These bakers are even today known as padeir in Goa. Padeir is a word that is used for the bakers in Portuguese language. So here the narrator tells us that this family business, this family profession of preparing and selling the breads is carried forward from generation to generation. Though the father is dead, but still his son is carrying the same business. He is continuing the same profession one after another. And further, it is said that these bakers, even today in Goan society, they are known as padeir. During our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. He used to come at least twice a day. Once when he set out in the morning on his sailing ground, and then again when he returned after emptying his huge basket. So here the writer tells that when he was a child living in Goa, at that time the baker used to be his friend, his companion and guide, and the children who were in the family of the writer, they all enjoyed the company of that baker. And further the writer tells us that that baker was habitual of coming to their house twice a day. First, when in the morning he set out on his sailing ground, having so many huge loaves of bread in his basket, in his huge basket, and second time when he would be returning after emptying his basket that was full with bread in the morning time. The jingling thud of his bamboo woke us up from sleep, and we ran to meet and greet him. Why was it so? Was it for the love of the loaf? Not at all. The loaves were bought by some Paskin or Bastin, the maidservant of the house. What we longed for were those bread bangles which we chose carefully. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special make. So here the narrator tells us that in the morning the children of the house, all of us, we were woke up by the jingling thud that was created by the bamboo of the baker, and we rushed out of the homes to meet and greet the baker. And why was it all? Why did we like the baker so much? Not because we loved those loaves that he brought to our house. Not at all. We did not like those loaves. Those loaves were purchased, they were bought by the Paskin and Bastin, the maidservants of our house. And what did we long? What did we desire? We wanted to have those bread bangles. Those breads which were in the shape of bangles. You can see in the picture. So the writer tells that we children, we longed for the bread bangles and we chose them very carefully. We selected them very carefully. And sometimes those sweet breads were made specially for us, for the children. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with the zang zang sound of his specially made bamboo staff. One hand supported the basket on his head and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. So here further the narrator is describing the arrival of the baker. What does he say? That baker made the musical entry on the scene. How did he make this musical entry? By producing the zang zang sound with the help of the bamboo that he would be having in his hand, and the bamboo that was made especially for this purpose. So with that bamboo staff means stick, he would produce the zang zang sound, and in this way he would make his musical entry on the scene. Further, the writer tells us that one hand of that baker would be busy supporting the basket that would be there on his head, and the other hand would be busy banging that bamboo on the ground. He would greet the lady of the house with good morning and then place his basket on the vertical bamboo. We kids would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke, and the loaves would be delivered to the servant. So here, what is told further? That as soon as the baker would arrive in the house of the narrator, he would greet the ladies of the house, and further he would keep his basket on the vertical bamboo. At that time, the kids of the house, they would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke. Mild rebuke means a very light expression of disapproval or scolding. So these kids of the house, they would be pushed aside by that mild scolding, and the loaves that would be brought by that baker, they would be delivered to the servant of the house. But we would not give up. We would climb a bench or the parapet and keep into the basket somehow. I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves for the elders and bangles for the children. Then we did not even care to brush our teeth or wash our mouths properly. Further, what does the writer tell us? That though we were pushed aside by the elders of the house, but we did not lose the hope to reach to that basket to get a look of those Bengal breads. So what did we do? We would climb a bench or the parapet of the house, and then we would try to look into the basket, and anyway through any method. And then the writer tells us that I can still remember the typical fragrance of those loaves. That scent of the loaves is still there in my mind, and I can feel that fragrance after so many years. Loaves for elders and bangles for children. So further, what does he tell? That the loaves were meant for the elders of the house and the bangles were given for the children to eat. And then after getting those bangles, we children even didn't care to brush our teeth or wash our mouths properly because we were in so much hurry to eat those bangles. And why should we? Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf for the toothbrush? And why was it necessary at all? The tiger never brushed his teeth. Hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after all. So here the writer emphasizes that what is the need of brushing the teeth in the morning? It is quite troublesome to pluck the mango leaf to be used as a toothbrush. Further, he says he becomes quite humorous when he says that it is not necessary at all to brush the teeth. And he justifies it by giving the example of the tiger who never brushes his teeth, but then too his teeth are so strong. And then he says that the hot tea can solve this purpose as it can wash and clean everything very nicely. Marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread known as the bowl, just as a party or a feast loses its charm without bread. Not enough can be said to show how important a baker can be for a village. Further, the narrator tells us here that the breads are very much important in the Goan culture. During the marriage ceremonies, when the gifts are presented, those gifts are meaningless until and unless they are not including the sweet bread that is known as bowl. Just as the parties or the feast lose their charm without the presence of the bread that are organized in Goa. Further, the writer tells us that I do not have much to tell you about how important a baker can be for a village in Goa. I don't have much evidences to show you here. The lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of her daughter's engagement. Cakes and bolhinas are a must for Christmas as well as other festivals. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. Further here, the writer gives us many examples. He says that if there is the occasion of the daughter's marriage, then of course the mother has to prepare the sandwiches on that occasion. They are must. Further, the cakes and bolhinas are also the must on the occasion of Christmas as well as the other festivals. People have to have to prepare cakes and bolhinas. Without those, these festivals are incomplete in Goa. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. So all these examples, they show that the baker's furnace is very much important, very much essential to be there in the villages of Goan culture. The baker or bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress known as the kabai. It was a single-piece long frock reaching down to the knees. In our childhood, we saw the bakers wearing a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full-length ones and longer than half pants. Here the writer, he is telling us, he is describing the dress that was used by the bakers during the different periods in Goa. Initially, he tells that the bakers or the bread sellers of those days, of the past days, they would be having a peculiar means strange, funny, or odd. So they would be having a very peculiar dress, and that was known as kabai. And it was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. And when I was a child, the writer tells us that when I was a child, I saw the bakers of my time, they would be wearing a shirt and a trousers, and the trousers would be shorter than the full length ones and longer than the half pants. Means you can call it a 3/4. As right now you wear those caparis 3/4. Similarly, that baker of the writer's childhood, he would be wearing such kind of pants you can see in the picture. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant which reaches just below the knees invites the comment that he is dressed like a padir. So here, writer becomes humorous and he says that if today anybody is found wearing such type of pant as the uh, um, bakers of my time wore, generally he gets the comment that he is dressed like a padir, means the baker of Goa. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month. Monthly accounts used to be recorded on some wall in pencil. Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. So further here, the writer tells us that the bakers of my time, they were usually collecting their bills at the end of the month. They daily did not collect the money, but at the end of the month, they would collect the amount that was to be paid for the whole month's purchasing. Further, he tells that the monthly accounts were recorded by using the walls, by writing on the walls with the help of the pencils. Means the bakers, they would not be having the pen and paper with them, but they would use the walls of the houses to write down the amount of money that would be collected at the end of the month by the purchasers. And further, it is said that the baking was really a very profitable profession business in the old days in Goa. The baker and his family never starved. He, his family, and his servants always looked happy and prosperous. Their plump physique was an open testimony to this. Even today, any person with a jackfruit-like physical appearance is easily compared to a baker. So here, in these concluding lines of the story, the narrator tells us that during past days, baking was always a profitable profession, and the bakers, along with their family and workers, were happy and successful. They were satisfied with their life, with their profession. Those bakers were usually fat, and which was the proof that they had a lot of things to eat, and it was also the proof of their richness. Even today, if somebody is found with the same well-built body, jackfruit-like personality, he is compared to a baker. So this brings us to the end of this story. Very soon I'll meet you with the second story of this lesson. Till then, all of you take care of yourself. Thank you.